Tonight, we're digging deeper into history and the rise in what some are calling political violence in our nation. A recent study by a University of Chicago political science professor reveals overwhelming support for political violence among millions of Americans. Our Darius Johnson spoke one-on-one with that researcher.
And what we found right from the beginning is a significant amount of support for political violence in the mainstream. We found nearly 5 to 10% of American adults were supporting political violence to restore Donald Trump to the presidency over that 3-year period of time. It has ebbed and flowed. And we now find that 10% of American adults support the use of force to stop Donald Trump from becoming president. We saw 7 to 10% of the George Floyd protests were riots. Those folks thought they had legitimate reasons to riot. We saw the January 6th riot against the Capitol. Those folks thought they had legitimate reasons to riot. We saw the Palestinian, pro-Palestinian, pro-Hamas protests, a fraction of which were storming buildings and throwing bricks and so forth and so on. And those folks thought they had legitimate reasons to be acting violently.
Robert, how did we get here? You're talking about acts of violence from more than 40 years ago, rearing its ugly head once again.
There are some superficial similarities to what's happening today to what happened in the 1960s. So we're fighting in the 1960s a foreign war, a very controversial foreign war in Vietnam. We also have a situation where we have a wounded president, Lyndon Johnson in 1968, Joe Biden here. Now, he's not as wounded as President Johnson, but that you also have in 68 the Democratic Party in a crisis. Well, here we have a Democratic Party in crisis. So these are all the similarities, but some of the root factors are very different.
How did we get to this point?
We're going from a white majority democracy to a white minority democracy. But we're at the tipping point of change. So you're getting a lot of political anger around this major demographic change. And this demographic change is going to go on for about another 10, 15 years. So this is where Donald Trump came from in the first place. And this is why his movement is growing. We really need to recognize we're going through a crisis in our American democracy. And this is a manifestation of this crisis, what we just saw yesterday. And these continuous hopes that everything is just going to fade away is just simply unrealistic, given the dynamics I just explained.
The full 20-minute interview that covers a wide range of topics can be found on our website at cbschicago.com. Reporting in the newsroom, I'm Darius Johnson, CBS News Chicago.
And we will, of course, have more on the Pennsylvania rally shooting investigation and security for the Republican and Democratic conventions. That's starting on the CBS News Chicago at 4:30 tomorrow morning.